general discussion for 5 minutes so that we allow some latecomers to come in. So why take a course? A course on meditation is understandable. Why yoga? For a simple reason that you might have seen a lot of Kapalbhati and Omkar and so many videos online. Have you seen any of them telling you that you need to have a Mool Bandh applied before doing all these? I haven't seen any. So there is a lot of commercial stuff which goes on under different names. So Patanjali's Yoga Sutra talks about Ashtanga Yoga, 8 limbs of yoga. And if you go to ashtangyoga.com, they will talk about 8 asanas, while asana is only one limb of yoga. So completely misrepresented material is available, and I thought almost nil genuine material is there. Even some Indian famous experts, you will see that they are telling you to do Omkar by starting Aum. Now that has absolutely no basis, but everybody wants to create their own brand. So let us start with introduction to yoga. Should we start now or wait for a couple of more minutes?
Let's start.
So any exercise in yoga will be starting with Omkar, ending with Omkar. Okay, I will start with the definition of yoga. So there are many schools of, not schools, I would say, many types of yoga that are there, which are Hatha Yoga, Raj Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, etc. But what we are covering is broadly Hatha Yoga, Raj Yoga combined, Gyan Yoga. At higher level, they all merge into same thing. But now you would have heard of Bikram Yoga, Hot Yoga, and many other specifics. These are not as per the ancient research or ancient text. These are customizations made in the modern times. So we'll go by the definition of, I'll share a screen with you to give you the definition of yoga. Let me know if it is visible to all. And in general, throughout this session, what will follow is everybody is muted. When somebody has a question in between, they can use chat. And when we throw open the session for discussion, then one can unmute oneself and ask questions. So yoga as defined by Patanjali Yoga Sutra is Chitta Vritti Nirodha. So what are Chitta Vrittis? So your external connects that with anger, status, anxiety, lust, greed, ambition, fear, care. I'm going to read each of these because you need to understand so many issues you are attached to. Love, insult, shame, wants, resentment, doubts, responsibility, jealousy, hate, insecurity, pressures, loss, grief, inadequacy. And you think of money, food, job, sex, family, position, all those things. So how Patanjali has defined is doing nirodh, that is control, from these external pointers. So you are blocking all of them, and then all your vrittis, everything is concentrated within. What is yoga by definition in Sanskrit? Yoga is joining, getting together. Getting together of what? So one may say that I and my friend, हमारा योग हुआ. But yoga means actually, as per definition, milan of yourself with divinity. Now, divinity outside, if it was outside, then it would still be a vritti towards outside. So it is getting together of you yourself, becoming one with the divine within you, discovering divinity in yourself. So we'll cover basics on posture. So posture has to be, spine has to be erect. Okay, this is quite important in yoga. So I'll show you. And Padmasana, that lotus position, helps you to stay erect. But if you can use Padmasana, otherwise use Ardha Padmasana like this, or use Sukhasana, which is our normal sitting position. So how do you ensure that your spine is erect? This is a simple exercise. You stretch your hands up. This you can try. You can do yourself. Stretch your spine as much as possible. And now now this ensures that your spine is straight. And now you relax your hands. Now spine is in straight position. Okay, now you see the mat that I am using. Okay, what kind of mat should be used? Any mat that is insulating. You should not directly be sitting on ground. You should never be sitting on soft bed, because that is something which will not give you a right base. And time of yoga. So ideal time is when you are up early morning, you have not had any food, and you just have had your bath. Now, should exercise be done before bath or after bath? Yoga is supposed to be creating a lot of spiritual energy, or they say it creates some static charge. You do not want that to go away, and that is why you need an insulated surface to sit on. Now, there are some people who would be doing gym activity, and they usually prefer that they do gym, then they do bath, and then yoga. But ideally, yoga can be done before anything else. You may take bath after doing gym again. Okay, now I'm not going to go in deep depths of chakras, but chakras are basically positions, energy centers, you can say, in a way, in your body. And it starts with the lowest Muladhara and goes up to the topmost Agya chakra. We are not going to Agya, and then above that is Sahasrara. But right now I'm just introducing this so that I can introduce Omkar to you. Okay, now we started with Omkar. I will go back to focus now. We started with Omkar. Now, how should Omkar be done? So, just saying Om is enough? I don't think it is enough. You say Om, Om, the whole sound, whole vibration is in your head. While I showed you the chakras, the Omkar is supposed to be lightening, giving energy right from Muladhara chakra, which is the lowest one, to the topmost. So, if you see, the vibration is here. Her, if you say just her, with lot of blow, then that is your chest, your heart position is involved. You say R, now a strong R, like let's say double R, and you will feel vibration in your navel position, navi position. So if you see ra ma, okay, the vibration goes from below to up, or ra hi ma, that also is ra ha and ma. But Omkar does it fully from the root to the topmost. So I'll give you example of wrong Omkar and correct Omkar. Om, this is completely from my throat. Om, this is starting from my chest. And let us do it from the bottom of the chakras. Now, 1 second, there is a chat. Someone is saying that my voice is not audible. Is it audible to everyone else?
Yes, it is audible to me at least.
Yes, it is
Yeah.
audible.
So I think someone is having problem with their audio system. They need to connect to computer audio. Go to audio and connect to computer audio. Okay. So let us do a basic practice of Omkar. And how do you ensure that you are getting Omkar right from Muladhara chakra? Muladhara, where is Muladhara situated? At the base of your spine, at the point of your anus. So I will give you a spelling. Double Gnaum. Gnome. Okay, if you try to pronounce that, you are muted. You can try. You can try the wrong things also. Nobody is going to hear. But if you say gnome, and not just gnome, double Gnaum, gnome, you will see that you are getting a vibration at lower part of body, and then it is going upwards. So let me know your experience. Did you feel the vibration at the lower part of body? Okay, great. Someone says yes. So you are not to say gnome. We have to use Omkar, but this is an exercise just devised so that you get a feel that from where the vibration should come. Okay, so now we will do Omkar, a practice of Omkar. The way I suggest Omkar is doing 3 Omkars one after other, then taking a pause. Now I'm keeping my eyes open because I need to be communicating with you guys. Nobody's video is on, I think. Was it turned off by me by default, or is it? Yeah. So before getting into Omkar, I will tell you about breathing. Breathing has to be abdominal breathing. There is a wrong concept that you need to fill up your chest first. Go behind again so that you can see that it has to fill up from low to up. And then breathing out is. I also want to make it very clear that how much you can breathe in is important, but what is most important is your exhaust. If your exhaust is incomplete, then you are like a vehicle with a lot of pollution and low efficiency. Exhaust has to be complete because after you have breathed in, there is a lot of carbon dioxide impurities that are to be thrown out. If your exhaust is not complete, then you are having a lesser space for getting in oxygen. So before starting Omkar, you do complete breathing out. Then fill in. Oh. In this, if you see, the O part should be around 50% and Ma part is the remaining part. I have no proof for this, but it is said that O is for controlling surrounding and Ma is for controlling inside. So there are things in this whole course, you can ask me any questions. Questions could be as crazy as anything. Any questions will be okay. And I will try to answer them. Some places I will answer with conviction, saying that yes, I have experience. I have, there is a logical explanation and there is an experience to support. Somewhere there will be pure logical explanation. And somewhere I would say I do not have any knowledge or I do not have any proof. So as of now, we are going to assume what is available in text to be right, at least in cases where it does not impact our practice. So we do 3 Omkars. All this has to be done with closed eyes. Then you imagine that the sound of Omkar around you, and after that for a minute or so, and then again do 2 Omkars. Now you guys are going to start that. I think you can unmute yourself and let us do the practice. Don't worry if you don't get it right in the first time, but and I'll do shorter Omkars because I think people may not be able to stretch that long. After third Omkar, we are going to have a pause. Eyes need to be closed all throughout this practice. You imagine Omkar, I will tell you what to imagine. And after that, so this will be a conducted Omkar. So eyes closed. Complete exhaust. Bro, fill. Fill up. I did not hear a single clear, powerful Om. If somebody wants to demonstrate singularly, please volunteer. Yeah, who would want to do that? So as I said, it's not Om, it's not home. It is from depth. You need to imagine that there is deep water falling deep in a valley, and from the depth of valley, the sound is coming. The vibration goes from your all vital organs, kidneys, intestines, liver, your heart, your various glands, pituitary gland, and to the top. And finally, this vibration is here. And who is doing this? No? Can someone raise hand and do it? Yeah, try, Rajesh. Exhaust. Yeah, Philip. Yeah. So fairly good, but there should not be breaks or hiccups in between. This happen when you're trying to elongate your Omkar and there is not enough air being pumped. So do not give the uh, the time period so much importance, but doing correctly, and then we'll stretch it. We'll stretch it to half a minute or more also. In fact, after half a minute, if your capability increases further, I'll tell you to limit O part to 15 seconds and then more to be elongated. Okay, so let us do 3 plus 2, the complete cycle now. Eyes closed, complete exhaust. Breathe in. Keep your eyes closed. There is infinite dark space, maybe some stars around you. You are the only one here. And at the center, around the position of your heart, of your body, imagine a diya, the one which we keep in front of in prayer room. And this has enlightened the shape of my body. That is the boundary. Rest outside is dark. And in this whole universe, infinite universe around me, imagine the Gunjan of Omkar. Kind of Gunjan is, this is imaginary. Breathe out. So if you see, I have been doing the last Omkar, the third and second for longer period. This is not requirement. I am doing it because your Omkar is going to stop after that. And my earlier Omkars were shorter to match with people who cannot do it for a long time. Okay, so ideally when we start doing yoga and practice the pranayama practice from beginning, right when we start our first Omkar to the end, the last Omkar after all exercises, your eyes should be closed. You are building a lot of potential energy in this period. Will not be covering too much. I'll tell you about pranayama. So what is great about pranayama? We always keep breathing, and what are we going to achieve by pranayama? How do you link pranayama to mind? So we will do an exercise. Okay, again. In between, any questions, any difficulties while doing Omkar? Let's give a minute for that. None? Okay. So again, close your eyes. Posture straight. How do you straighten your posture? Stretch your hands above your head. You will need to do this in between because you will realize that you get relaxed because you don't have practice. And with spine stretched, relax your hands. Let them be in your lap, like this. Yeah. This is the most relaxed position. Now, while doing Omkar, while doing Padmasana, there are various mudras people do, like this. Okay, like this. There are so many. But the most relaxed one is, which involving minimal of your mind control, is the one which is relaxed like this, the lotus position. Okay, so eyes closed. This is going to be a imaginary tour and you need to do your best to try and imagine. So you are, I'm going to say I, and everybody has to think that I am submerged in water. Don't bother about difficulty in breathing. There is no problem. You somehow can breathe. You're submerged in water. Water is extremely rough, turbulent, moving around you. Moving in circles, you are having difficulty to hold on to yourself. You are feeling abrasion. It is so rough, turbulent water. And worst thing is, I don't fear turbulence, but I can't see anything clearly because the water is turbulent. Again, how is the touch of water? Some places on my shoulder, it is cold. On my neck, I feel something slimy, something slippery below my right foot. It is hot near my navel. I'm struggling to try and see. How do I decide my direction? This is a state of complete confusion, complete chaos, complete turbulence. I'm used to this kind of turbulence, but the fact is I can't see clearly. I try to move my hands. I have fear that if I step ahead, would there be something thorny in front of me? Would I fall down? Maybe something is deeper there. Do I go left, right? If I go up, then maybe the whirling of water, the rotation would become stronger and I may get carried away. I try very hard to remain calm and stable. As I start trying to become calm, the speed of water around me is reducing. Now at least I have no difficulty standing in a stable position. Still there are a lot of impurities, green, blue, metallic colors, but they are receding. I can at least vaguely see some light. Slight visibility is there. There is a slight flow of water that I can feel, a bit of push, but that is not bothering me so much now. The speed of water movement further slows down. It is kind of calm water flowing. But there are still some dust particles. My visibility is not so good. But I can see a slight blue color of sky through this water. Water starts becoming clearer, clearer, clearer. It's absolutely clear water now. Very calm. Is there a movement to the water? Is there a flow? Maybe I can't notice. And I can see everything clear. Everything in water, outside water. Now I see the sky as if there was only a glass layer on top of me. I see there is greenery around at the edge of the pond. Beautiful scenery. Calm, quiet water. And a flow which I can't even notice. Absolutely peaceful. And what is a great joy is everything is clear, crystal clear to me. The fear of unknown is no more there. Peaceful water. Let us close this. And now let me ask, to me, maybe because I have practiced, this gives me a peaceful feeling. This is designed to explain pranayama only. So did you guys feel while moving from turbulence to calm water, some change? Again, someone is saying not audible.
Not audible.
Yeah, can everyone else hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Parag.
Yeah, so
Yes,
I
yes,
thought the
we can.
problem would be at your end, Kulkarni. I mean, you'll have to set audio settings or maybe leave and rejoin. Okay, so did this have any calming impact? To me, yes, it does have. Now, the water that was not there, by imagining it becoming calm and smooth and non-turbulent, if it can have impact on my mind, imagine the oxygen, the air that we breathe in, which is within me, which runs my life. If that becomes smooth and calm, how significant will the impact be on my mind or my body? So this is a basic exercise to explain why pranayam, why making a breathing practice which becomes very smooth, non-turbulent, would help your mind and your health. Now, before jumping into Kapalbhati, I would like to explain a thing called as nadis in yoga. So there are 3 nadis. In fact, our body consists of, according to yoga, millions of nadis. There are 54 nadis on the right side, main nadis, 54 on the left side. But the 3 main nadis of breathing are Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna. Ida, Pingala is also called as Chandra Nadi and Surya Nadi. Chandra Nadi is your left nostril, and Surya Nadi is your right nostril. Now, if you have not observed before, you will find out that throughout the day, your prominent breathing nostril changes from right to left to right every 2 hours. You can check now which is the prominent, and whichever is prominent, you can raise that hand so that I know. Yeah. So Sushumna is a nadi. Now, what is this nadi? In medical term, people say that it may be to do with your nervous system. I am not sure. These are speculations. So here I am going to assume nadis are some channels of energy, and they are not anyway going to impact our logical discovery of self. So right now we can assume that Sushumna nadi runs along with your spine. Surya nadi runs on the right of your spine, and Chandra nadi on the left. So when you are breathing from right nostril, that would increase your heat of your body. Left nostril will create coolness. It is not just to do with temperature. So if you have your left nadi closed and you are breathing through right nadi throughout the day, then you will have heat related problems like ulcers, acidity, and so many other things. If it is only left, you may have problems like cold and related. These nadis have impact on mind also. So it is said that, and I have also observed experimentally, that when your right nadi is on, then logical thinking, physical activity, these things are, you perform better. When your left nadi is on, emotional, poetic things, you do better in that kind of activities. There is a list we'll share at certain point in time of the whole course. So one interesting thing is that you are told usually that you should sleep on left side of your body. I mean, you should sleep on one side. If you are sleeping on one side, it should be left. Why? Because due to gravity, your right nadi is on, particularly for people with heart problems. And they say that when your right nadi is on, there is very less chances that you will get heart attack. Okay, so now how much time is there? About 20 minutes. How much time should we give for the discussion on the stories that we had given? I hope people have given some thought to that. Otherwise, I will give explanation for Kapalbhati in short.
I think 10 minutes should be good enough.
Okay.
Parag, can you repeat again once that nadi thing, left nadi and right nadi, how one should sleep?
Yeah. So anyway, we are going to repeat it before we are going to cover Kapalbhati. I am explaining Kapalbhati now.
Okay.
Okay. Please discard any knowledge of Kapalbhati you have had from internet or from commercial trainers. What is Bhata? You have seen iron smith's bellow, right? What it does is it fills up air and forcefully pushes out to keep the fire on. Okay, so it takes in, pushes fast. That is how the name Kapalbhati came. So what you are, yeah? Any question? So your breathing in is at relatively normal speed, slightly faster than normal because we want to do this. We are not going to do this exercise this time. I'm just going to explain. So normally when you do Kapalbhati, you should do with right nostril first. Why? Because right nostril creates heat. If you start with left, if you are already choked, you are going to choke your nose further. Now, this is how you, I mean, it is up to your convenience, but you can hold your finger, this finger. I hope everybody can see. To block your nose and thumb. So this finger, the second from the small finger and the thumb, these are the ones which are used. Now, why? People should ask why. This pituitary gland area here, okay, your this two fingers should be in front of that. When you do that, you will see a lot of impact on your mind just by doing that. Okay, so you start with, so always start Kapalbhati with your right nostril. If anyone has problem of choked nose, what they can do is they can close their other, they can pull up their nostril like this and make it easier. As we go on doing right yoga and kriyas and Kapalbhati, etc., you would never have this problem of choked nose. So for now, to start with, what you can do is, anyone having problem with one of the nostrils kind of choked, can raise hand. Yeah. Usually it would be there. So imagine as it is taking in oxygen at, I mean, you are breathing at a lower efficiency. Your vehicle will give lesser average. Okay, so you need to increase. Other thing is, all these nadis, all these things, the power centers in your body, your lungs, every cell of your lung is used for absorbing oxygen. And I have not verified scientifically, but must be true. My guru told me once that average person uses 25 to 45% of full oxygen absorption capacity. So what is Kapalbhati? Is Kapalbhati pranayam? No, Kapalbhati is not pranayam. Kapalbhati is a Shuddhi Kriya. It's a purification. It is creating base for doing pranayam. If one does Kapalbhati and some other Ujjayi and these exercises for a few months, then he is ready to do pranayam. You do pranayam when your breathing is still turbulent, then you are going to create harm for yourself. So I will show you how it is done. You can do it with me if you want. Okay, I'll show you sideways so it becomes easier. So I'll close my left. So first of all, I'm going to breathe out. There is no better alternative to complete breathing out. Breathing out is done when with both nostrils. Now you close left nostril. Okay, now when you do this, you do it 54 times. If 54 is difficult, do it 36 times. 36 is difficult, do it 21 times. You should not create difficulty for yourself. If you observed, it's not full breathing. You are using half capacity. It's just half pumping. I'm using my hand so that you know the rhythm. The breathing in is slower, breathing out is faster. If anyone has high blood pressure problem, then they should not breathe out very fast. They should slow it down. Still, breathing out is faster than taking in, but you are slowing down the whole process. Someone having lower blood pressure, if they do Kapalbhati, they will correct their blood pressure. Again, a legal vaccination. I will put a disclaimer that this is in no way a claim as a replacement to any medication, and people with problems should check with their doctors before doing any experiments. Okay, so what you do is, after Omkar, you do Kapalbhati. You can try. How perfect it is, will not get into that. Close your left nostril. If your right is not open, keep it open by pulling your nostril. 54 times. Last one, completely breathe out. Complete. Out, out, out. Completely breathe out. And stay in that position for 2-3 seconds. Take away your hand. You are breathing out with both nostrils. Now breathe in. Now you really badly need oxygen. Breathe in full. In that stage, stay for a couple of seconds. And now breathe out so slow that you cannot even hear your breathing. Like tel ki dar, when you are pouring oil, non-turbulent, smooth. If you could manage this smooth breathing out, then you have achieved a lot. This itself, though we are not yet in pranayam, this itself will give you a lot of calm and peace. Let us do. So 54 times you have done it with right, then you have completely exhaled. Every breathing exercise we are going to follow this, then after that complete exhale, stay there for 2-3 seconds. You must have had difficulty because I was talking while we were saying this, and then it must have exceeded 2-3 seconds. Now you badly need oxygen, you fill up your body, your lungs are really satisfied. Now you can breathe out very slowly. You should breathe out in a very slow, calm manner, and you can enjoy the peace while doing that. Now we'll close right nostril, do it from left. Completely breathe out. Stay there. Slowly breathe in. Very, very slowly breathe out. Imagine ice is melting around you. And you are getting purified. Okay. So we will limit Kapalbhati to this. This is the end of the exercise. So at the end of exercise, what do we do? Omkar again. Is everyone's posture correct? If not, correct it. Complete exhaust. Eyes closed. Baro. Fill up. Calm. Center of the universe. Dark around you. At the center of your chest. A bright diya which illuminates your body. That golden light is there. The whole space of your. And around you, you hear deep gunjan of Omkar. Now you do not want the charge created to be wasted. So you rub your hands. Sorry, we could not. I wanted to cover some theory about Omkar also. Have you seen temple architecture in Indian temples architecture or most temples architecture? There is a dome. Indian temple architecture, there are books how a dome should be designed, how it should not, what kind of curvature should be there. So when you go to the Garbhagriha of a temple, what happens actually is whatever sound you say ah, and ah, because of that structure, everything gets converted into Om in the end. Rightly designed bell of a temple, if you say, it will be ting. A rightly designed bell will be ringing for a very long time. Next time you go to a large size bell, below it, you stand for some time after ringing the bell. That solid sound is there, and you hear a small hum for a long time. All these are built in to have that Om effect. And this is a kind of proof that Om needs to go from bottom of your chakras to the topmost of the chakras. Now let's come to, you can unmute, people can unmute and discuss. More than the exercises, discovery of self is more important. I have given 3 different narrative stories. So please feel free to discuss. Have most of you given some thought to the stories? You can raise your hand and yeah. I didn't get yes from anyone. Yes, have you gone through the stories and given a thought? Yeah, so please, someone can give me the why these stories were shared. Yeah, anyone? So let's say the Sunil Gavaskar story. Okay, I mean, there is nothing new. It's a story which is there, and I think his autobiography also it is there. And he says that he would have been fishing somewhere if this exchange was not corrected. But the point that I took from there was that before this exchange was done, mother showered all her love to her wrong baby. And it was not fake love, it was true love. And when that correction was done, now I don't think they are even bothered where that person is there, whether he is living or dead. They may not have bothered to check also. Why? Why? Because it is not mine. Correct? The second story was again pointing to the same thing, that I am extremely agitated because I think my house is on fire. What about my family? What about my kids? What about my money? I have stashed all my money in a cupboard in the back room. Okay, so what will happen to that? As soon as I know that it's some other building, still somebody is going to die. Someone is going to lose a lot of their assets. But I'm relaxed. Why am I relaxed? Because the loss is not to me or mine. So the whole point I am trying to make is that our happiness is connected to me and mine. Okay. I become happy if my things are better. I need a better car. My car has to be better. My house has to be bigger. My wife has to be happier. My son has to get the best admission. So it is about me and mine. My bank account should grow. My portfolio should be better. So just wanted to establish that your happiness is connected with what is me and mine. We are still not anywhere close to discovering who am I. I'm just trying to tell you why it is important to know who am I. The third story was something which was different, where there was, you have put all your life's income into a property where you want to develop, and it is going to make a big profit to you. You have also taken a loan and you are trying to get maximum returns only if you can build faster. Otherwise, the loan is going to kill you. Like you have limited life and you need to achieve something in this life. Here also, the property needs to be built within correct time. Otherwise, it does not become viable. So, but the dispute is that which is my property. There are 100 acres, 50 are mine. Which ones are mine? I do not know. So if I do not know which is mine, what would you do? Would you still be watching IPL and would you still be going around doing your business as usual? Your highest priority, you will be agitated. You would want to know. You will have that thirst for knowing which is your property so that you can start building. You cannot start building as it is, and if you build on a wrong area of property, then your efforts may get wasted. So what I'm trying to say here is that who am I? Your current understanding of who you are, I'm challenging it. It is challenging. And if you, I'm trying to tell you that if your current understanding is as wrong as the wrong boy that Gavaskar's mother was showering love, then it is going to get wasted. If they were not corrected in right time after 20 years, I don't think it would have had the same impact. After 20 years, I don't think they would have been able to exchange the baby and be happy and change the pointer of love from one point to another and be able to live happily. So you have limited life, and in this lifetime, you need to establish who you are and try and realize. Otherwise, like this property case, it is going to be too late. So these three stories were given so that you understand that who am I and what is my mine. Mine is very important. Yes? Yeah. Any questions? Questions, comments, thoughts, ideas? Please unmute yourself and
Hi,
no,
Parag.
means
This is
everything is
Milind.
yeah.
This is Milind. No, I think like what you have explained is like absolutely right. All our like happiness, sadness, like all the emotions are associated with me, myself, mine. It is all associated with that. And
Yeah.
you're right. Like if our understanding of who am I is wrong, then all your emotions are going to be like wrongly attached to yourself.
Yeah. You would be developing for something else which is not yours, and it will get completely wasted.
Correct.
Yes, Rajesh.
Parag, what I feel, what you are trying to say, if I want to make myself happy, I have to make myself happy within, and not let my happiness depend upon the external forces. Like you told, my house is on fire.
Correct.
Okay, so if I'm connected to the sorrows, whatever happenings which are outside of me, that will make me turbulent. Is that so?
Now we will come to that. I'm doing it very slowly. I'm just trying to say that establish that if I do not know who am I cannot make myself happy. That's it. Okay, it is very important because my happiness is linked with me and mine. If me and mine concept is wrong, then there is very little that I am doing for my happiness. what you are saying is right, the happiness within and all that, but I'm not trying to make that point. We'll slowly build up over sessions. We will not say, "Main Atma hu, main this hu, that hu." We will discover properties of me as we go on with these courses. And I believe that if you logically find yourself and discover it that way, then the conviction will be much better. Rather than directly giving theory that, okay, you are so and so, and you need to do this, that does not work. So we, anyone else has comments before we conclude?
But Parag, so this definition of who am I, isn't it a continuously evolving process? Because if I wrongfully decide who am I, then I keep building on that, right?
Yeah. So
And
you
if
keep
I
building
don't-
on that, and if you do another mistake, like I have done, you have done, many people have done, not just one mistake, and they keep doing it till they come to a correct position, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So I think it is important to know the correct answer to who am I. We are fortunate that there are many people in past who have done this research, and that is available to us. Unfortunately, some of it is contradicting each other. So that is why we need to use a bit of reason and logic to come to conclusions. But we do not have to discover and make so many mistakes right from scratch. Yeah. So another thing is why people have reluctance to try and find out this is that people are on local optima. So you are on a very small hill, okay, and you think this is the topmost position. If it is a topmost position, if you see that 200 meters around you, but if you have a far sight and if you see the whole picture, then there are many positions which are much higher than this. And sometimes you need to get down from this hill to be able to climb up a higher point. This getting down is uncomfortable. That is why people usually do not tend to go in this self-discovery exercise. There is a reluctance because you think, hey, yaar, chal raha hai, I'm doing all right, I'm doing fine. Why should I disturb my life? Yeah. So evolving procedure till you find correct answer, yes. But if you can get answer, now why am I conducting the course? Because I have done these experiments, exercises, researching through various ancient texts till I found something. Now I want to share that finding readily with people, and this making mistakes and correcting, that cycle should be reduced. And we will establish who am I with absolute clarity. If you are taking this course sincerely, I guarantee you that we'll have absolute clarity on this by the end of the course. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Sangarsh, you had something to say?
No, I just said okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so we'll conclude because people may have other time restrictions. Unless someone has questions, we can continue. I have some more time, so that is not a problem. But people who want to leave, I will just summarize today's coverage. That breathing has to start from lower abdomen to up. Before breathing in, what is important is to have complete exhaust. Your spine has to be erect. You should be sitting in a comfortable position on an insulated surface. It could be carpet, it could be a yoga mat, it could be chatai. Very good option is a bamboo-based chatai. You start your workout, yogic workout with Omkar. We do 3 Omkars, completely breathe out, and your Omkar has to be right from your Mooladhara, which is at the bottom of your spine, to the top of your head. Om. You do it 3 times. Then you have a pause. In that pause period, you imagine yourself. You imagine a diya at the center of your body, at the position of your heart. Not at the left, obviously at the center, but then at that height. You stay calm for a minute. You have imaginary gunjan of Onkar, and then do another 2 Onkars. Then you can do Kapalbhati. This exercise you can do, you are expected to do at least once a day, every day. Early mornings is the best time. People who have difficulty can do it at any time, but it should not be immediately after food. And at least half an hour before food. After food, minimum 2 hours gap has to be there. You should not be heavy while doing all this. And we will cover Bandh and some other things next time. We have not covered what is Ashtanga Yoga, what are 8 limbs of yoga. We'll go on with that, and we'll cover a couple of more exercises in yoga. And we'll continue our discussion on who am I. Over the week, I will send you a couple of more messages, thought-provoking messages, so that you can start thinking and we start going towards who am I. Okay. So that's official end. Now people who have questions or anything to discuss, they can continue for some time.
Thank you, Parag.
Thank you.
Thank you, Parag.
Yeah.
Thank you, Parag.
Thank you, Parag.
Thank
Don't
you.
need to
Bye.
thank me. Yeah, bye. So should I end the session?
Thank you, Parag. Yeah,
Thanks.
thanks.
Thank you.